Good morning, students. Welcome you all for next generation learning. Today we are going to see the subject physics and class 10, chapter number 11, human eye and colorful world. You have studied in the previous chapter about refraction of light by lenses. It is shown in the figure. When the light ray fall on the lens, it refracts. You also studied the nature, position, and relative size of image formed by lenses. If you take nature, there are the two types. One is real and inverted, and another one is virtual and erect. The position of the image for different for different position of the object. The relative size, it may be magnified, diminished, or same size comparing to the object. So this concept or we already learnt in the last class. How can these ideas help us in the study of the human eye? The human eye uses light and enable us to see object around us. We know that the human eye helps us to see the object around us. It has a lens in its structure. So, what is the function of the lens in a human eye? How do these lenses used in spectacles correct defect of vision? Let us consider these questions in this chapter. Look at this image. This is a structure of the human eye. It contains many parts. The first part, sclera, cornea, iris, pupil, lens, ciliary muscles, vitreous humor, retina. The retina contains cones and rods. Then optic nerve. Now I am going to discuss the function of each parts. The first part is sclera. Look at this image and see that the sclera. The sclera is in white in color. Where it is placed outer of the eye. So it is the outer covering, a protective tough white layer called the sclera. So white part of the eye is called sclera. It is a very tough layer. It is a protecting cover. Where it is placed in the outer of the eye. The next part is cornea. The front transparent part of the sclera is called cornea. Look at the image. The cornea is front part of the sclera. So what is the function of cornea? Light enters the eye through the cornea. So where the light enters through the cornea. The cornea is a transparent part. Where it is placed in front of the eye. And also it is a one part of the sclera. The next part is iris. And look at this image. Here the iris is blue in color. A dark muscular tissue and ring-like structure behind the cornea are known as iris. Where the iris is placed behind the cornea. And it is a dark muscular structure. The color of the iris actually indicates the color of the eye. Here, the color of the iris is blue, so the color of the eye is blue. In some people, the iris is brown color or greenish color or black color. So, depending upon the color of the iris, we can say that the color of the eye. It is a very important point. The color of the iris indicates the color of the eye. What is the function of this iris? It is a muscular ring-like structure. So it helps regulate or adjust exposure by adjusting the iris. So when the light fall on the iris, it regulates the light rays into pupil. Here I given adjusting the iris, not adjusting the iris, that is adjusting the pupil. So where the iris is placed? The iris is placed behind the cornea. The iris may be in a different color. It indicates the color of the eye. The function of iris is it regulates the light rays into pupil. The next part is pupil. The fourth part is pupil. A small opening in the iris is known as pupil. Its size is controlled by the help of iris. So only said that here the iris also helps regulate and adjust. So the size of the pupil is controlled by the help of iris. It controls the amount of light that enters the eye. Where the pupil is placed? The pupil is placed in the iris. It is a very small opening. How the size of the pupil is controlled? By the adjusting the iris, the size of the pupil is controlled. Look here. Here the color of the iris is black. So when the bright light enter, the iris or contract and the size of the pupil is very small. When the dim light enter, the size of the pupil is more. So the size of the pupil is controlled by the iris muscles. When the bright light enter, the size of the pupil is small. When the dim light enter into our eye, the size of the pupil is more. So the size of the pupil is adjusted by the iris. The next very important part of the eye is a lens. So where it placed? It placed behind the pupil. There is a transparent structure. It is called lens. The lens is a transparent. And by the action of ciliary muscles, it changes its shape to focus light on the retina. And look at this image. Here the eye lenses are held by the ciliary muscles. The ciliary muscles are change the shape of this lens. So by changing the shape of the lens, the light is focused on the retina. It becomes thinner to focus distant object and becomes thicker to focus nearby object. When you are looking the nearby object, the ciliary muscles are relaxed, so the eye lens becomes thinner. The image is formed on retina. When we look at the distant object, The ciliary muscles are contracted. Here the eyelids becomes thin. It focus light on the retina. Or you understand what is the function of the lens? Here the lens is convex lens. You know that when the light rays fall on the convex lens, after refraction, the refracted light ray are converge at one point. So that point is where the image is formed. The refracted ray or meet at one point. No? That point is the position of the image. So it is a transparent one. Here this lens is holded by the ciliary muscles. When we are looking the nearby object, the ciliary muscles are relaxed, so the eyelens becomes thick. When you are looking the distant object, the ciliary muscles are contract and the eyelens became thin. So the shape of the lens are controlled by the ciliary muscles. The next part is retina. It is a light sensitive layer that consists of numerous nerve cells. It converts image formed by the lens into electrical impulses. These electrical impulses are then transmitted to brain through optic nerve. So where the image will be formed? The image is formed on the retina. It is a light sensitive layer. It consists of numerous nerve cells. And here the image is converted into electrical signals. These electrical signals are transmitted to brain through the optic nerve. So where the image is formed? The image is formed on the retina. Here the image is converted into electrical signals and these electrical signals are transmitted to brain through the optic nerve. So what is meant by optic nerve? Optic nerves are two types. These include cones and rod. The optic nerve contains the cone cells and rod cells. So what is meant by cone? Cones are the nerve cells that are more sensitive to bright light. When the bright light enter into our eye, here the cone cells are activated. They help in detailed central and color of vision. So the color of the image is sensitive by the cone cells. Sensed by the cone cells. The cone cells are activated when the bright light are enter into our eye. If you take a rod are the optic nerve cells that are more sensitive to dim light. So when the dim light enter into our eye, the rod cells are activated. They help in peripheral vision. The next one, at the junction of the optic nerve and retina, there are no sensory nerve cells. There is no rod cells. There is no cone cells. So no vision is possible at that point, and this point is known as blind spot because here there is no rod cells and no cone cells. So this spot is called blind spot. At the junction of the optic nerve and retina, there is no sensory nerve cells. So no vision is possible at that point. So this point is called blind spot. Dear students, I hope you understood the function of the parts. The first part is a sclera. It is the outer covering part. outer covering and protective tough layer. It is in a white in color. So white part of the eye is called sclera. The second part cornea, it is a front part of the transparent part of the sclera. The light enters through the cornea. So the first light refraction taken place in the cornea. The light passed through the pupil. It is a muscular like structure. At the center of the at the center of the iris, the pupil is present and it is a small opening. Its size is controlled by the help of the iris. And the pupil became very thin, very small when the bright light entered into our eye, and the pupil became big when the dim light or enter into our eye. This size is controlled by the iris. And the next part is lens. Here the second refraction taken place and it is a transparent one. This lens is holded by the ciliary muscles. The ciliary muscles can change the shape of the lens. When it is relaxed, the eye lens becomes thin, thick. When it is contract, the eye lens became thin. So these thinner and thicker shape are used to see the nearby object and a distant object clearly. And the next part is a retina. It is a photosensitive screen. Here the image is formed. Here the number of rod and cone cells are present. The rod cells are sensitive by dim light. The cone cells are sensitive by bright light. And in a retina, these images are converted into electrical signals. These electrical signals are transmitted to brain through optic nerve. Where optic nerve and retina are meet at one point, in that place there is a no sense nerve cells. That means there is no rod cells and cone cells. So this spot is called blind spot. So based on this topic, I am going to discuss some question. In a human eye, name the following part. A thin membrane which allow light to enter the eye. So it is a very thin membrane. It allow light to enter our eye. So which part is help us to allow light enter into the eye? You know that cornea. The cornea is the front part. It is allow the light enter into the eye. It is a very thin membrane. The second question, the muscles which help in changing the focal length of eye lens. Which muscles which help in changing the focal length of eye lens? The ciliary muscles only help in changing the focal length of the eye lens. The second question, name the part of our eye that help us to focus near and distant object in quick succession. So which part of our eye is help us to focus near and distant object? The ciliary muscles help in changing the focal length of the eye. The next one, what is the nature of the eye lens of human eye and that of the image formed at the retina of the eye by it? What is the nature of eye lens of human eye? The nature of eye lens in human eye is convex, and that of image formed at the retina of the eye by it. The image formed on the retina is real You know that the convex lens formed the image is real inverted. So it formed the real inverted and diminished image on the retina. Mention the role of optic nerve in the human eye. So what is the role of optic nerve in human eye? It transmits the visual information in the form of electrical signals generated at retina to the brain. So the optic nerve is used to transmit the electrical signals generated in the retina to the brain. The next question, name the four parts labeled A, B, C and D in given diagram and write their function. The A is a pupil and B is ciliary muscles and C is iris, D is retina, and you have to write their function. What is the function of the pupil? It controls and regulates the amount of light entering the eye. When the dim light enter, the size of the pupil is big. When the bright light enter, the size of the pupil is small. So it controls and regulates the amount of light entering the eye. Then what is the function of the ciliary muscles? These muscles help to modify the curvature and thereby the focal length of eye lens to focus the image of the object on the retina. Iris, it controls the size of the pupil. The last one, retina. What is the function of the retina? A real inverted diminished image of the object is formed on it. So this is a function of the retina. The next question, write the function of each of the following parts of human eye: cornea, iris, crystalline lens and ciliary muscles. The function of cornea is it provides the refraction of light rays entering the eye and act as a primary lens. Because here the two lenses are present, the cornea also one of the lens and the inside of the lens, the convex lens also lens. So the cornea is a primary lens, the convex lens is a secondary lens. Iris, it controls the size of the pupil. The third one, crystalline lens. The convex lens is called crystalline lens. It forms a real and inverted image of the object on the retina. Due to that crystalline lens, the image is formed on the retina. Ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles modify the curvature and thereby focal length of eye lens by contracting or relaxing itself to focus the image of an object on the retina according to the distance of object. When we are looking the nearby object, the ciliary muscles are relaxed, so the thickness of the eye lens became thicker. When we are looking the distant object, the ciliary muscles are relaxed. Sorry, if the ciliary muscles are contract, the eye lens became thin. It focuses the distant object on the retina. And also it hold the eye lens in correct position. Dear students, I hope you understood. You have to read the discussed questions and also I will send one drawing video how to draw the human eye. Watch that video and practice the diagram. Draw a human eye, draw a structure of the human eye and study these questions. The next class we are going to see the power of accommodation. Thank you for watching.